got feisty, and I like it. You don't like the end result if you're an Oilers fan. The Edmonton Oilers fall 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks to end the road trip. The Oilers, 8 games in 8 different cities. It's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle, Hernan Salas with you. Matt Kassian will be joining us momentarily. We are live on location at the Shamrock Curling Club. It was a fantastic Oilers alumni bonspiel, and you'll probably be seeing Ben Scrivens and maybe a couple others, but Bellsy has been gracious enough to hop in. We're going to talk about what happened at the end of the game. I know that Cass will have a ton to say about it. I know that Nanso will have a ton to say about it, and we hope you have a lot to say about what happened tonight against the Vancouver Canucks in that Oilers 3-2 loss. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat, of course. If you're watching on YouTube, GCL Diesel, of course, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. All right, let's start with what happened right at the end. Listen, we know the Oilers blew the first period. They gave up a lead again, and I was telling people, they're texting me, they're going, whoa, what's going on here? And I'm like, deja vu. They got them right where they wanted. Same thing that we were saying the other night, Thursday, at BP Westgate. It almost happened, but it felt like the gas wasn't there. The tank was empty, and they ended up losing that game. But Bellsy, before even Cass hops on, I know Natso was going to want to say a lot about this, and we're going to get to a lot of texts for sure. That sequence at the end, the Oilers were trying to get the equalizer. You had Connor Garland and Connor McDavid going toe-to-toe. Tyler Myers gives Evan Bouchard a stiff cross-check, full-on composite to the Chicklets. What did you make of what we saw with 2 seconds left on the clock there?
Yeah, the Oilers are trying to be desperate. They're trying to get that goal back. But, Connor Garland's trying to do whatever he can to stop them from doing that. And if that's, getting under the skin of Connor McDavid, though, well, that's what he's going to try to do. And, it was under 30 seconds when that whole thing
There's
transpired.
2 seconds left.
So
yeah, the whole sequence, you're right.
The reality is if you just lay on him, you take the best player out of the way. And if you have, a penalty kill because you actually touched the puck, what is it, 3 seconds? I actually don't fault Connor Garland for it. Is it a penalty? Yes. Was there a bunch of penalties on the play? 100%. But at the same time, I don't actually fault him for it. Now, I look at that cross-check that McDavid throws on him, and we don't need that cross-check. However, if Garland kind of ducks,
he's a small guy,
as
too.
He's ducking, right, then it hits him right in the face. So I would say it's a little bit, you don't need that cross-check. He is ducking. Would it have hit him in the shoulder pad? Maybe. I don't know. That being said, the Myers one, that's just
we're going to have
I'm
suspensions.
I'm going to stare at you right in the face, and I'm just going to drill you in the face.
Well, Tyler Myers is 6'7". Evan Bouchard is 6'3".
But that one to me is a little bit more calculated. And I'm not sitting here trying to be a homer by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But that one seemed way more calculated than the one where there's a scrum between the two Connors. When they're going back and forth at each other, there's emotion to it. There's, they're fighting for body position. They're doing all sorts of things. This other one is just, there is nothing going on. Guy skates up to you and you just whack him in the face.
We expect supplementary discipline. Obviously, I think McDavid's probably going to get something, and he kind of got away with one the other night when he had the forearm shiver in Minnesota. I reiterate, I liked what I saw, but it was dirty.
Yeah.
Marcus Johansson is on the IR after that McDavid elbow to the face. Mm-hmm. Tonight, Connor Garland, like Bellsy was talking about, cross-checks, or McDavid cross-checks Connor Garland in the face, and both of them got the ejection.
Yeah,
the match penalty.
I think so, yes.
Okay, yeah. The league will have to assess everything. It was interesting. Wes McCauley on the call. Funny, yes, and good for him. He's great at that. He is a character. We'll see how it all breaks down, and I'm sure there'll be a fallout tomorrow.
Isn't a match in Auto 3?
That I don't know. That I'd have to get my rule book out. I'd have to text Reed Wilkins and be like, get your rule book out. Tell me what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to get to the breakdown with Matt Kassian. He's just getting set up. He's back at his satellite studios. Let's get to the turning point of the game. We're going to take care of that right now as the Oilers fall 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. This is a game I thought the Oilers would be able to go in and take advantage of a wounded Vancouver team, but the Canucks rallied. Good on them, honestly. They had a very good first period, and the Oilers pushed back in the second, but it's Vancouver that manages to hang on. So the turning point of the game presented by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. I already alluded to it. It is that 3-minute sequence, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, 14:38 of the first period. On the power play, Quinn Hughes, 11th of the year from JT Miller. Obviously, a lightning rod of discussion today. JT Miller. Danton Heinen at 15:49, his 6th of the year. Myers and Di Giuseppe, that made it 2-zip. And then Quinn Hughes at 18 minutes of the first period, 2nd of the night, 12th of the year, 2nd on the power play from JT Miller and Brock Besser. That sequence from 14:38 to 18:322, that is your turning point of the game because the Oilers lost it right there. Yes, they did push back in the second period. They got a goal from Draisaitl, his 32nd at 4:01, unassisted. Then they got another goal from Draisaitl on the power play at 13:38 to cut the lead to 3-2. Nugent Hopkins and McDavid picking up the helpers there, but ultimately they fall. So that 3 minutes and 22-second sequence is the turning point of the game. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat. We want to hear from you. Hernan Salas back at EST HQ. Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle, live on location at the Shamrock Curling Club. Oilers alumni Bonspiel, 3rd annual. And then our boy, Matt Kassian, our game analyst, is ready to go. He's standing by at his satellite studios. All right, Cass, Bellsy and I talked about that skirmish at the end. Let's start there because I feel like it's the freshest thing. Obviously, we're going to talk about the first period that the Oilers had and that bad sequence, like I alluded to in the turning point of the game. But what's your take? How did you see that last 45 seconds, if you will?
Yeah, well, I mean, McDavid's really frustrated. Garland is basically holding him, wrapping him up, holding him down on the ice. So he reacts and he cross-checks him. Shouldn't have cross-checked him in the face. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the match penalty is you're just ejected from the game. Like it's 5 in a game. That's a match penalty.
That's good then.
Yeah, and I think it goes then for automatic review. Like it'll get reviewed by the league. Considering Garland wasn't really hurt, was just kind of touched his face and kind of going, what the heck? I would see it as probably being maximum fine, potentially 1 game, but probably a maximum fine. Now, as you guys mentioned, you have the forearm shiver as well, so it might be fresh in their minds, like, hey, he's getting out of control. He's a wild man.
Sure.
And maybe they give him a game. The Myers one, probably similar. Now, I'm not sure of Myers' suspension history, if he's had any before. That one, same thing. That's going to get a review. A little bit more unnecessary because I get, and Shawn, you mentioned this already, like I get McDavid's frustration, right? Like it's at the end of the game, the emotions are there. He's tangled up with a guy. It's a physical engagement, and Bouchard is just, grandpa skating over towards Myers, who just, and maybe that's it. Maybe he said something about Myers' mother. We don't know. But whatever he did, it was enough for Myers to give him the stick to the face. So
I just thought that one, Cass, was a little bit more egregious because of the fact that there was no hockey play. And you can argue and sit here and say, okay, well, hockey play, what is that? But both Connors were engaged in the middle of the play.
Yeah, there was back and forth there, right? Bouchard just kind of skates up and Myers gives it to him, which I mean, Bouchard's fine. I mean, both guys are fine, so I don't want to say no harm, no foul, but part of me is like, hey, excitement, emotion, it's good. But yeah, both plays are dirty. I mean, like the cross-check to the face by McDavid, that's still a dirty play. Cross-check by Myers, still a dirty play. They both should and will get looked at. Maybe they give guys 1 game each. I would lean more towards they're both just going to get a fine.
780-218-9999. Share your thoughts on what we witnessed in the last minute of the game. What do you think? Suspensions, no suspensions? McDavid justified cross-checking Connor Garland in the chin. Reed Wilkins sending me a text, giving me the update, says, pretty sure a match is not an automatic suspension, just means refs determined there was intent to injure. So, Reed, Rick, thank you for the update there.
Yeah.
And good to get that. Reed's excellent, very thorough when it comes to the rule book and things that are involved with potential suspensions. All right, the game tonight. I outlined it, Cass, in the first period. The Oilers in that 3-minute and 22 second span cough up 3 goals, a couple on the power play. It does them in. They can't, listen, it was wonderful how they came back against the Colorado Avalanche on Thursday. It was feisty how they did it against the Minnesota Wild. But come on, man. Remember I said the other day, Belzy, you might have been on too because Cass was away, but I said, are we starting to look at these starts and these first periods and go, geez, this is becoming a pattern. Can we say it's a pattern now at this point? Cass,
I think, yeah, it's probably fair, guys, isn't it? I hummed and hawed on that, and I kind of said I didn't think it was a couple of games ago when we talked about it, but it's been another 2. I mean, you had another one against Colorado, and then you had another one today again where it was just, I don't want to say complete and utter breakdown in the first, but they just weren't very good. And then they kind of fell apart completely for a couple of minutes, and Vancouver finds a way to put a couple in. And let's be real, guys. Not that we're not being real normally, but it's even more real than normal. They weren't great for a lot of that hockey game. They did struggle today overall. But yeah, I'm kind of, this is a team that on and off for a number of years has had slow starts to a hockey game where it almost at times feels like some of the guys in the team work their way in slowly instead of being ready right at the start of the game. Tonight, it catches up with them. And I wonder, I don't want to say it's a good thing to lose and not to get 2 points. You did just win a whole bunch of games in a row.
Good point.
But I wonder, guys, and maybe I want your feedback, both of you, is it a good thing that it caught up with them tonight? Where they couldn't get all the way out of the hole, where they had a bad start, they weren't able to recover and win. Does it become a lesson for them, guys, or is it something that could just kind of get lost in the emotion at the end of the game?
Go ahead.
Well, if this was few and far between, I would say absolutely. It is great to learn that lesson, but this team is out of lessons. They've had this for, I think we talked about the entire McDavid era. Where they consistently start slow. And so at some point, you've got to kind of look within the room to be like, okay, guys, why do we start slow? Because this is not the first time this season that they've started slow. And I understand they're in a bit of a stretch. What is it, 3 or 4 games? Where it's been,
3 for sure.
Or they've started slow, but it's not the first time. So I don't know the lesson that you're trying to get out of it.
I'm with you, Belzy, that I don't think there's any more lessons. And listen, if you're a fan of this team, I cover this team. That's not what you want to see to start a game. They got away with it. They were able to dig themselves. I respect that. Okay, it takes a lot of gumption to do what they did, especially this week. Listen, let's remind ourselves that they did win 1-0 against the Kings. It wasn't a great first period, bad 10 minutes to start the game. But yes, Cass, because sometimes you need that smack or that reminder that, despite how good things are, a little bit of humble pie might be able to go a long way. That's how I feel. I'm curious to hear what Nanso has to say. The Latino Heat's probably stewing right now, if I'm guessing. So let's get Nanso on here. Hernan, come on, lay it on me, brother. The sequence at the end, and then the 3-game road trip where they dig these holes in the first period. I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I think the concerning part is these starts. That's 5 out of 6 games now where they've kind of, given up, a ton of goals in the first period. And then I just thought the second they were much better, but in the third, I thought they was pretty sloppy. They couldn't complete passes, couldn't get it out of their zone for, I think it was 3 shifts. They were just hemmed in. So it was going to catch up to them eventually. Sure, we'll give them a pass maybe because it's the last game of I'll say an extended road trip because they did come home for one, but they've been on the road quite a bit. So you kind of saw this game coming from afar. So It's 3-2, not too much. I mean, you're not going to win them all, but then the stuff at the end, I kind of agree with Bellsy, where McDavid's is more like he's just caught up in the moment. Maybe the stick got a little bit high on there, but then you look at a Tyler Myers that went unnoticed for like 5 minutes, and then in the replays we're like, oh, wait. So pretty dirty. I think both guys will hear from the league. I'm intrigued to see if it's just a fine, guys. I don't know if it would be a suspension for either guy, but intrigued to see what's going to happen here. But like I said, unfortunately for the Oilers, they got to get these ugly first periods out of the way. Like always, my buddy Brian Swain sends it in. Last 5 road games, they've trailed 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 3-0. They've been outscored 14-4 in the first periods, and then in the final 40, they outscored the opposition 15-3, boys. So there's a trend here.
Yeah.
100%.
They're good finishers. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, slow starters, but good finish.
Are you guys surprised Hernan wasn't more angry?
Yeah, a little bit. I was expecting a little bit more fire there.
Yeah,
not that it's bad. I mean, you even keel, that's okay.
What's going on, Hernan? You okay?
No, I just saw, like, I don't know. I just had a feeling that this game might be a tough one. Vancouver needed to win because they got so much noise surrounding their team and JT Miller, who was excellent tonight, guys. Yeah. Really good stat line. And they're coming off, I think they were outscored 11-2 in their last 2 games. So you knew you were going to get a motivated group. So I guess I'm just not surprised that they lost this game. And you spot a team 3 goals, you're not going to come back all the time. So I didn't mind it at the end. But again, guys, you got to start better.
All right, Bellsy, you're going to take off. You're going to entertain your team. How did it go really quickly at the tournament, and then give us your final thoughts going into the next game at home when the Oilers return?
It was a great bonspiel. My team was a team full of ringers, which was amazing. So I didn't want to mess up too bad. We lost in the finals, came down to the last shot. Yeah, and it was a perfect shot to lose. So
did you cross-check him on the face out of frustration?
I didn't. I didn't. Yeah. I think if you throw any kind of hands here, it would have been really bad because it was a group of old people, and they were fantastic. And you should have seen the shot; like it was special.
Some good players out here,
really good.
Cass, we missed you out here, buddy. I know you've been busy.
I missed being there.
Yeah, it was great. Bellsy, you had a long day. Great work as always, my friend. And I'll join you for a beverage when we wrap up the show.
Sounds good. Okay, see you, boys.
All right, there's Shawn Belle hopping on, giving us his take on what we saw at the end of the game between the Oilers and the Canucks. Text us 780-218-9999. Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas, Matt Kassian with you. Edmonton wrapping up a 3-game road trip with a 2-1 record. Boys, I'm going to read a couple of texts, and then we're going to get into this road trip, and then I have a few questions about the Canucks as well, Cass, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. I'm going to read Dirty Curdy's text. Dirty Curdy says, Knobs has made some good calls, but 11-7 in a rivalry game 3 and 4 nights was idiotic. Overplays his stars, and now Connor probably gets 1 to 2 games for the headshot, dumb deployment, can't shut the bed every first period. It's not can't shut the bed. It is can't the bed every first period. Dirty Curdy, I see what you did there. I tried to make it sound good. Dirty Curdy makes a couple points, boys. Cass, Nanso, whoever wants to jump in on this. The 11-7 decision tonight. Josh Brown did play. We saw it work against the Kings. 3 and 4 nights, like Dirty Curdy outlined. Was that the wrong decision, or were the Oilers just gassed and had nothing left in the tank? What say you?
Yeah. I mean, pull up the forward. I'm going to look at the forwards minutes here again, too. I mean, it's not like, well, McDavid, 24 minutes, Leon, 23 minutes. Here's the thing. I don't know if I would blame the 11-7 because they were still down 3 goals, and the second they're down 3 goals, you knew McDavid and Draisaitl were going to start playing way more, which they did. You know, if they were in that game earlier, if it was a tighter game, minutes are probably a little bit more spread out. So I don't want to jump on that as being a factor or a major factor in this one. You're down 3 goals. I mean, Draisaitl got 2, the 2 that they got, right? Like he got them back in that game from a goal scoring standpoint. Now to the starts, we touched on that already. Dirty Curdy, I completely agree. It's bad starts. You used a more explicit of word, and probably apt and appropriate because they haven't been very good. Yep.
That's
Yeah, I don't think the slow start's due to 11-7. I get, because a lot of people on the nasty chat are pretty upset about it, overplaying the star players and Josh Brown playing 9 minutes. I just don't get the point. I'd rather you go 12-6 and then you have a Jeff Skinner in there or Derek Ryan, guys, or Kapanen, whoever, right? That can maybe get you that goal that you need to tie it up or get you back in the game. But you knew, like Cass said, you knew at 3-0, hell, even 2-0, that he was going to ride the 97 and 29 all night long. So it's not something that should surprise us. So for me, 11-7, I don't think that's the case for why they start slow. But I was just a little surprised he went with 11-7 because Josh Brown doesn't play a lot, guys. So what's the point?
No. Did you think you needed muscle against the Canucks? I mean, the 11-7.
Well, maybe at the end of the game. Throw them out at the end of the game.
Okay, but did you foresee them having that skirmish at the end?
No.
But Cass, the reason why I'm at is once you go in 11-7, like when they did it at home before they left for this road trip, I get it. Like you want to switch up the matchups, you want to throw off the opposition. I know they had the last change, but you're rotating through two of the best centermen in the NHL. I get that. You're trying to disrupt Jim Hiller and the LA Kings. You're on the road. You're at the end of a trip. You had the 3 and 4 like Dirty Curdy was talking about. Why? Why go to your thoroughbreds when you know they're probably a little bit tired? Or is it too easy to jump on that right now and pounce because they did lose the game?
Yeah, I mean, you go to your thoroughbreds because they're thoroughbreds, and you're probably looking at this going like, hey, it's still a division game against a team that we don't necessarily like that much, has their own struggles, and you go to your thoroughbreds because they score goals. I mean, Leon, what is it, 29 out of the last 30? Or is it now 30 out of the last 31 he's scored or had a point in? Like he's on fire. Continued to be absolutely on fire. So And you're going to go to it again. Like you are going to go to that when you're slow out of the gate and you're down 3 goals. Like you almost have to. So I don't know. I don't know. Nanso, what do you think?
Like, is there a case? Because I know with Gager, we were talking about it as well. Like, like he goes to it for a reason because they're excellent and they usually get you back in the game. They usually win you a game. But is there something to be said to say, hey, Nuge, go out with Podkolzin and Arvidsson and try to, put in faith in other players that you're not double shifting these guys and just rolling your 4 lines if you want and saying, guys, it's going to take everybody here to get us back in the game. I am not going to go heavy with Leon and Connor. Let's go. Like, I think that's where fans get frustrated is like, let other guys try. It's not that they're not trying, guys, but like, give other guys the opportunity to go out there and win you the game as well, right? So
yeah, I get it,
and I understand why he goes nuclear. Like it's it's for good reason. But if that's your only move every time you're down, guys, like teams are gonna, especially in the playoffs, you can't do that. You have to have other tricks up your sleeve, guys. And right now they don't. It's just, hey, Connor, Leon, go win us the game. Go get us back in this game.
780-218-9999. The Oilers fall 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks to wrap up this 3-game road trip. They take on the Washington Capitals on Tuesday. Alex Ovechkin in pursuit of Wayne Gretzky's NHL record goal total. But the task at hand right now is breaking down this Oilers loss to the Canucks. All right, I see a text that I want to jump on here. Mike in Thunder Bay says, seems like slow starts caught up to them. Props to Skinner for locking it down. Again, I'm glad McDavid is standing up for himself. Who cares if he gets a game suspension? He needs to keep showing he's not willing to take the abuse. If the refs keep refusing to call the repeated blatant penalties against him, he needs to show there will be consequences. Okay, to what Mike in Thunder Bay said there, I thought McDavid threw a brushback pitch, so to speak, in mini to Johansson, no call, no penalty. Johansson's on the IR, concussion. McDavid gets away scot-free, let's call it. Tonight, this situation with Garland, and I understand where Mike in Thunder Bay is coming from, but now is it going to catch up to Connor? And like, should someone step in and try to make sure that it isn't McDavid that has to like stand up for himself? I respect him wanting to stand up for himself, but guys, I don't know what you think about that. Let me know.
I just it's tricky. I mean, I think this is a one-off though. Like him and Garland, Garland should have got called like 3 times. He tackled,
but it wasn't like he was holding him. It wasn't like he was abusing him, right?
No,
like it wasn't like it was cross-check / cross-check, and that's where, guys aren't going to jump in there because it wasn't like he was getting mauled physically. He was getting held.
Okay.
And it should have been whistled down earlier. So to me, it's a little bit of a different, like, it's like he was being held and he reacted.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like Garland was the aggressor with the cross check to McDavid's face. Now, if Garland cross checked McDavid like that, then there darn well better be 4 other guys on the ice and maybe Stuart Skinner flying down there, right? Like if that happens, all bets are off. But I didn't see it as being a type of situation for that. Now, what will be interesting to me, and it's like you wish you could be, you have one of those FBI or cool tech wiretaps on the call when you have the call, because it's going to be over the phone with McDavid in the NHL safety department, where, it will also be an opportunity for him to say, listen, you got to make these calls.
Right.
Like you see that forearm shiver. That's because I'm frustrated. I'm getting held. I'm getting hooked. I'm like, this stuff isn't getting called. The referees aren't doing their job. You do your job. And then this doesn't happen. I mean, that's going to be his case towards that. And it'll be interesting, or it would be interesting. We're never going to know, to hear if any of that would trickle down.
All right, let's get to some more text here. Mavs is not happy. He says, such a dumb loss to a weaker team. Another poor first period. Finally sinks this team after a crazy schedule. Energy, none of it left in the third. They looked tired, not sharp, didn't have the urgency needed to tie the game. Was there nothing left in the tank? And I like what Mavs pointed out, because it is a long stretch. There has been a ton of travel. I felt that the Canucks were ripe for the picking. I talked about it a bit on the pregame show. Guys, what Mavs brings up there, what would you respond with?
Hernan, go for it.
Sorry, guys. I was just getting some post-game audio. I kind of zoned out there. We do have.
You never listened to me.
No, I do. Sorry, guys. I was just. I
was just saying. Did they run out of? Did they run out of?
Yes,
juice?
I
was the
think
gas not in the tank. Was it empty?
I think in the third. I think you could see that they just, like I said, they couldn't get the. It was just sloppy play, guys, and that's a tired team. They couldn't. And you saw frustration too. You saw Ekholm being pretty frustrated as well. So I think there's something to that, and that's why I said, guys, like I wasn't truly surprised or angry about this loss, because it's one of those ones you could see from afar, like they might not have their best stuff tonight after 2 thrilling comebacks in the previous 2 games, guys. And like I said, like a pretty long road trip for these guys. I know they had the 1 game at home in between, but they've been traveling quite a bit. So for me, I think there's something to that. I just watch the third period again, to everybody watching and listening, and you're going to see that the Oilers look pretty gassed.
Fair point. I'll cap it with this, and I'll bounce it off of Cass really quickly. And I know we have audio that we want to get to. I thought that the Canucks were seriously ripe for the picking. Kudos to them, despite all this turmoil, playing the way that they did, having that spurt in the first period and hanging on. Like, credit to them for sure. But I honestly think that the Oilers blew an opportunity here, Cass. And I'm not taking anything away from what the Canucks were able to do, but I think this was something that Edmonton could have just rode the momentum, taken it, gotten out of there with a clean win, and said, you know what, Canucks, you deal with your crap because it's a mess over there. Am I wrong for thinking that?
No, I think they were right for the picking. But they, as far as the team goes, they're still just, they're right there from a wild card playoff spot. Like, they're still going to be, for all the turmoil, they still want to win. It's not like they want to lose the games, even if they're fighting with each other. And if there's conflict and non-resolution, like, they're still going to try to win.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't think it was going to be an easy game by any stretch for the Edmonton Oilers, but they didn't take any kind of advantage. They were flat in the first period, and for a lot of the 5-on-5 play, they were flat as well. Like if we looked at the rest of the game, at no one stretch during that hockey game was Edmonton absolutely dominant. Now they had little periods, little chunks of time, a shift or two in a row where they spent some good time in the offensive zone. They had a couple chances, but they weren't able to really sustain at that high level, which maybe is some truth to what Hernan is saying, in that there was a little bit of fatigue. They have been on the road a lot, and it was a tough one for them in that regard. But still, you did have a team that has been just okay and having to deal with the media all the time and that frustration, and you did kind of let them off the hook. Because
they weren't that good either, though, right? Like Vancouver is not like they dominated. They got a power play goal, and then I don't think Vancouver was overly better than the Oilers. I thought both teams at times looked pretty sluggish out there. And I guess on the positive, guys, Vegas and LA lose tonight as well, so it doesn't sting as much.
Oh, Matzo, look at you.
Look at that, eh?
Easing the pain. You're like an Advil after a tough night out. Okay. We're going to go inside the Oilers locker room. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. We've got Cass with us for a little bit more. We got Nanso back at ESTHQ. I'm live on location at the Oilers Alumni Bonspiel. Shout out to the Sheet Disturbers, my old team. Between the sheets, we didn't make it to the semifinal, unfortunately, but Karen, Lene, Shelley, and Candace. Fantastic. Great to be there with them. We're going to go inside the room, guys. We're going to get some final thoughts from Cass and then more text. Let's do it right now. Who are we going to hear from, Hernan? Let's go to whoever was the spiciest from the Oilers.
That's probably going to be Leon. So here's Leon Draisaitl. Post game from Vancouver.
News result, especially that opening period.
Yeah, not the start we wanted. Obviously, got to fix that.
What were they doing that was making it hard to generate shots and opportunities?
Defended well. I think plenty of looks to tie it up, but they did a good job defending and couldn't get one more out.
Go ahead. I guess you get the two in the second, but did you generate enough in the third? Did you get enough looks in the third to tie that game?
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Felt like you generated enough.
Sure, yeah.
The end, how did you see the end? And I mean, there's obviously a pretty good rivalry.
It's hockey, it happens. It's intense. It's just, the way it goes sometimes. Obviously couldn't get one, and then, a little bit of fisticuffs, but nothing major.
How did you see your second goal, especially the play that Nuge makes to you from behind the net on that one?
Yeah, it's a great pass by Nuge. Obviously got a bit of a bounce there, and fortunate it went in.
All right, Leon Draisaitl there. A couple goals for him. Continues to have a marvelous season. Cass, Hernan, you're right. Like, he was.
I didn't know he was spicy. Well, he's kind of annoyed with one of the questions.
Yeah, and I get it. I don't know if I could take much out of that interview. We didn't even ask. We didn't even get, like, what'd you think? Were you out of gas at the end of this trip? Was it a good trip? Does it spoil the trip? Cass, maybe a missed opportunity. Listen, I've been in those situations. It's crappy. It's quick. You got to come up with questions. You know that they're mad. I'd like to hear a little bit more about just the outcome in the third period. I don't know. Did you take anything away from that one?
Not really. I mean, you could tell he was frustrated. I think you can tell he was tired. It would have been nice more to ask about the energy levels and a couple different things. But I mean, I think they're all a little cheesed in that room. Obviously, the emotions are high with the way that game finished and with the two majors. And I mean, doesn't view it as anything major. Clearly, he doesn't think there should be a suspension. And clearly, he hates Evan Bouchard. So maybe we have drama of our own. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, Cass, well done, sir. Okay, I'm going to read Shaggy in St. Albert. Shaggy, very thorough with his breakdowns. We heard from Dirty Curdy earlier, and then we're going to get Cass's thoughts. Maybe Nanso wants to chime in on what Shaggy wants to say, and then we're going to look ahead to this Washington game with Cass, and then the big boy needs to get some rest. He has been busy. We'll get to more of your texts after that. Okay, Shaggy in St. Albert says, what was the last thing I said after Thursday's game? And there you go. Continuing trend of not showing up at beginning of game. Probably had the Canucks one loss away from making a panic trade. But no, you had to let them off the mat. Normally, I would say if they were going to lose tonight, would have hoped for a blowout to learn a lesson. But let's face it, this team does not learn from their mistakes. Learn nothing from coming back down 3-0 against the Avs. Don't want to hear the excuse that it is the end of a long trip. McDavid should be suspended for that selfish hissy fit cross-check to the face. Boys, response to Shaggy. Who wants to take it? Go for it. All up to you.
You can go ahead, Cass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he should be suspended for that hit. I'll just say that. I mean, I get,
I feel like he's going to.
Yeah, I feel
he's
like
going to get something.
Yeah.
You think they give him a game? I don't know. I don't think they give him a game, but
it'd be so terrible. Like, what if he gets a game and he misses the Washington game? That'd be terrible, boys.
That would be terrible.
They want to sell this game, right? This game on Tuesday, two of the best in the world. One guy pursuing Wayne Gretzky. I think he gets a $5,000 fine. They should suspend him, though. Not that I want it.
It was like, again, like, guy wasn't hurt. Was it really that bad? Like, I don't know.
It's Connor Garland.
Yeah. Do you think the Myers one is more of a suspension, boys?
No, they'll do the same. It'll be the same for both. Yeah, they'll do the same for both.
Yeah, if one gets suspended, the other is. So,
fair point. Okay, you get the Washington Capitals. They are a tremendous team. They've been top of the league for the entire season, very consistent. After tonight, the Caps, let's see where they're at, just double checking. Yeah, they took over sole possession of first place, 67 points through 46 games. Edmonton, by the way, at 61 points, that's third most in the NHL, tied with Vegas. Like Hernan said, the Golden Knights lost. Cass. This game on Tuesday, the Oilers come home tonight. They're going to sleep in their own beds. Maybe they'll make it in time to have a beverage or two, and then they'll rest up, get ready for Washington on Tuesday night. How do they go about handling the Washington Capitals, top team in the NHL?
Yeah, well, don't suck in the first period would be a pretty good start. I mean, it's a little strong, but it's true. It's true. I mean, you manage a couple games where you bounce back. You can't come all the way back today. There will be no excuse from an energy standpoint after being at home, getting a little bit of rest to have a slow start. And, the Washington Capitals are a team that has been surprising in so many ways this year. I certainly didn't pick them to be as good as they have been, but they have found a way to consistently produce. And that has been with and without Alexander Ovechkin, who just continues to find ways to score goals. So for this Edmonton Oilers team, I mean, you have a challenge in him he's just manages to stay hot, and a team as a whole that is playing a complete team game with the Washington Capitals. Like they have been very strong in all areas. There's not really any weak points right now on that team. So you're going to have your work cut out for you. I mean, we talk about measuring stick games. You have them against a team like LA where you win a low scoring playoff style game. And this is another one against a team that has been absolutely dynamite all year. What Edmonton Oilers team is going to show up? Are we going to get a good first period team? Are we going to get that jump right out of the gate? Are we going to get that killer instinct? And we'll have to see. And you're going to potentially do it without McDavid, although I'm pretty sure he's just getting a fine.
You say, he's getting the $5,000 fine. Let's be on our way. Let's let McDavid and Ovechkin go head to head. Cass, great stuff as always. Good to have you back. I'll reiterate, would have been lovely to have you here, but in spirit, you were with us as we rocked the pebbled ice.
Absolutely, buddy. I wish I could have seen you curl. I would have chirped you the entire time.
As you should. Cass, have a great night. We'll catch up with you on Tuesday.
Sounds good, guys.
There's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, helping us break it all down for South Fort Chevrolet. The breakdown, of course, brought to you by South Fort Chev. Reserve your 2025 Equinox Trax and Traverse now. They won't last long. They've also got the best discounts on 2025 Silverados, and they won't be beat. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. If you're like, what the hell's going on, Tom? Where are you, at a curling rink? The answer is yes. We are at the Shamrock, where we will have the Fun Spiel in February. It's going to be an EST Classic. It's going to be fantastic. And today it's the Oilers Alumni Bonspiel. They're doing a horse race right now. Let's go inside the inbox before we get to more from the Oilers in their locker room after their 3-2 loss to the Canucks. Taco texting in says, Tommy, I'm sure the comment section is going to be very calm and rational tonight. Yeah, sure, Taco. LOL. With that being said, I'm very confident that the Oilers are going to see 2 suspensions. Let's go to Jay in the Park. Says, good thing Josh Brown was in the lineup tonight instead of an annual 20-plus goal scorer. Hernan, Jay in the Park kind of makes a good point. Like, you have Brown. He played 9.5 minutes. Why?
It just makes no sense to me, Tom. Like,
I'm with you.
This guy's not in your plans. You're not going to put him out there late. He's not sure, he'll PK when one of the main PK guys is in the box. I don't get it. Like, especially at the tail end of a road trip, like, the guys are probably a little bit gassed. You should probably want that extra forward. I don't know. Maybe he was worried about someone on the back end. Like, I mean, Josh Brown still played more than Stetcher. Not by much, but
yeah.
So that to me was interesting. So he rides 11 forwards. He pretty much played the hell out of his 5 defensemen. For me, it didn't make sense to go to 11 and 7, even though I think they're 3-2-1 when they do go 11 and 7, something like that. Let me double check that number.
They've been good with 11 and 7. We can acknowledge that for the most part.
But in this case,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, in this case, like, there was no need for it. I would have preferred Kapanen in there, or Jeff Skinner guy. Like, seriously, at least those guys potentially can win you a game, can score a goal.
The Stetcher thing that you brought up, and, just going into the game stats here from tonight, Troy Stetcher, who, don't get me wrong, listen, the guy gives you everything he has when he is in the lineup. He played .827, -1, 11 shifts, 1 block shot, 1 giveaway. That's why I look at the Klingberg signing and I'm like, I think Troy Stetcher is now the guy that's the odd man out. They wanted someone just physically bigger. Does John Klingberg play more physical than Troy Stetcher? No. But one guy's 6'2", one guy's 5'10", and gets bounced around. I know we talked a lot about the Klingberg situation, but, like, that's why part of me thinks that they look at Klingberg and they go, okay, -85 over the last 4 years. But prior to that, he was pretty good with Dallas, and bigger guy. He got the hips fixed. And so I go, okay, why'd you sign him? It's a team-friendly deal. But then who are you taking out? Because this guy's playing good. I know this guy's like a fringe defenseman. He's playing okay. And I look at it, and then you got Emberson, who's kind of working his way up. That's why I look at Stetcher as the odd man out, and why Klingberg was brought in and is bumping Stetcher out. And I think tonight, and so at 8:27 with a -1, Troy Stetcher is the guy that gets bumped out.
You might be onto something. Yeah, it might be Stetcher going back down and Josh Brown their 7th. That's mind-boggling to me that he was the lowest. Both guys weren't going to play a lot. We kind of know that. He rode the big 4 a lot in this game, but still, like, I so preferred Troy Stetcher over Josh Brown. I think he's just a better defender. I think he gets around the ice a lot better. I still think he's a 7th defenseman, but I don't know, man. I don't get it, because when Klingberg's on this team, you need to send someone down. You're not going to roll with 8 defensemen, Tom. So Who's it going to be? I mean, the easy choice is Josh Brown, but you're onto something here, because lately Josh Brown's playing more than Stetcher, and sometimes he's drawing in more than Stetcher as well. Like, this 11 and 7 tonight to me made no sense, Tom.
It threw me for a loop. They have their rationale. They have their reasons. They see things that we don't. They understand things better than we do. Maybe there's guys banged up, but from the outside looking in, that's kind of how I view it. we'll see how it all unfolds, but give it some time. Okay, we're going to go inside the room right away here. I want to get to Janias, who came in from Rocky Mountain. We saw him at BP Westgate. Great to meet him and his pops the other day. Janias says, I hope you read this one in the postgame. Janias from Rocky Mountain House. All I have to say is that the Oilers should stop gifting goal presents to the other team in the first period. Christmas ain't till December. Hope this one makes you laugh. Besides the team first period, sulky starts. Nothing else to complain about. I'm glad they got many wins on this long road trip. Oilers forever. Janias makes a good point. They're still playing good. They're still right there, top of the league, third best overall. All right, let's go into the Oilers locker room. We're going to hear from Kris Knoblauch. I'm going to go and grab Ben Scrivens. He's going to join us here on the GCL Diesel post-game show. Then we're going to get to the player of the game. Nanso, let's hear from head coach Kris Knoblauch.
And maybe hone in on the first period on what kind of went wrong for you guys.
Well, 2 penalties and 2 power play goals. That was a big part of it. And then, giving up those 2 was, the difference in the game. We were able to get 1 power play goal, and they met 2, and we lose by 1. And usually special teams is the difference of a hockey game.
What were the Canucks doing so well that was kind of mitigating your opportunities to create some chances?
Yeah, just checking us tight and not making many mistakes.
If you find yourself in that situation again, what do you need to see a little bit more out of your group, especially in that third period?
Just, I don't know, play it starts at the back end, moving the puck out so we can sustain some pressure, and, they did a pretty good job disrupting that.
You see, the last couple of seconds, 2 teams that, built up a pretty good rivalry in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a rivalry, and Connor gets frustrated. He gets a stick up, and he's frustrated because, we're down 1 goal, and we're down 1 goal, and the best player in the league is getting held for 15 seconds, and there's frustration that's allowed to happen, and his stick got up, and so that's what happened.
Only 5 shots in the third period. Do you feel like how much of this is the end of 8 games in 8 cities, and to be able to push back again for a second game in a row? How tough was that?
No, for the 3rd game in a row. We chased behind, and that makes it a little more difficult. And I thought we had a pretty good push to down 3 and make it 3-2 after the second period, and we just couldn't generate enough to get that 3rd one.
You guys can score goals from where Leon scores those 2 goals.
Yeah, Leon's exceptional. He's having an incredible season, incredible career, but this year especially, not only playing good 200 feet game, but being able to score the goals that he has been able to do on the power play and even strength, and he's a big part of our success that we've had these last 2 or 3 months.
All right, there was Kris Knoblauch following his team's 3-2 loss in Vancouver to wrap up a 3-game road trip, 8 games in 8 different cities. As former Oilers goaltender Ben Scrivens joins us, no stranger to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pre- and post-game show. Scrivy, listen, he was very diplomatic. You know Kris Knoblauch, smart guy. Like, he's not going to give you much, and he's not going to provide any kind of bulletin board material. But we watched that skirmish at the end. We're all sitting there, and everybody's getting fired up. A lot of Oiler fans here, obviously, at the Bonspiel. What did you make of what happened there? Because a lot of people are going to be talking about it for the next couple of days.
Yeah, you can obviously understand why Connor is frustrated. Right?
Yes.
And there's no point in me restating what Knobs just said, but he's the best player in the world, and he gives the Oilers the best chance of tying that up, in conjunction with the rest of the group there. Honestly, that is a high hockey IQ play by Garland.
Good point.
To the point where, when I was playing, I would talk to the D-man. I don't know if anybody actually did it, but I would talk to him in the last 10 seconds, because there's always a flurry around the net. I was even drop your stick and just grab sticks and take a holding the stick penalty. Just do whatever you've got to do, because you're not going to touch the puck.
Right.
Don't go and chase the puck down. Puck goes into the corner. Just let the time expire. You're going to get a penalty.
Yeah.
But
the game's over.
So who really cares? Right.
Yeah.
And and you're taking away the only weapon that somebody has to score, right? And you got two hands, you can take two people at once. So there's like, again, I think it's a high hockey IQ play. Like Garland obviously knows who he's matched up against.
Yes.
He's trying to hold him up. He's doing what he needs to do for his team to have a better chance of winning. And I understand why that's incredibly frustrating and like takes a little bit of like the spirit of like sportsmanship out of it.
Yep.
But like, roles reversed and you see Darnell or Ekholm or some of these big D men that are carrying out the play, or even Corey Perry does that. It's a little
he's a
bit
master at that,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense why he did it. I can understand the frustration, and like it's interesting. It's always interesting, right? You have a rabid fan base here in Edmonton. Vancouver has their fan base as well.
Yep.
And you have honestly like pretty identical plays happening simultaneously where you have Connor coming up. Garland kind of ducks on it.
And he's small.
And he's
small.
like
5'8".
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you look at Myers on Bouchard, and it's not that Bouchard is small like Garland is. It's like Myers is like 6'7" or whatever he is. And so there is that same height differential.
Yeah, good point.
And so it's like kind of I don't want to say it's the same thing. Obviously different context to it. Like Connor's reacting to frustration of in the heat of the moment.
Yep.
Versus Myers and Bouchard. Bouchard's like kind of skating over to him with his hands down. And I mean, that's the scrums always happen, right? But
the hands down thing, I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah, don't lead with your chin. But
yeah,
easier said than done.
True.
Right? And like you don't expect it. They're away from the play. I think Bush was just gonna.
He's in the corner.
Yeah, they're just gonna engage in some, you suck. No, you suck more type of.
With some of this.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly right. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Edmonton put themselves in a hole that they couldn't. I mean, they climbed out of it in Colorado.
And Colorado.
Yeah, they just couldn't do
week.
it again. Vancouver's coming off a tough loss. They've obviously had their tribulations and trials going on over there. So, it's, a big game, a divisional rival, and somebody that they're trying to track down in the standings. So, it was a good game, hard fought. The lesson Edmonton probably takes is can't keep giving up three rip leads and
keeps happening.
Yeah, exactly right. But they keep finding ways to get themselves back in the game. So that's obviously a positive. But that will always be there. Their scoring touch will always be there. They got to figure out a little bit of these starts, I would say.
Scrivy, we've had a lot of people texting and say, I don't like the excuse of this is 8 games in 8 different cities and this is the end of a road trip. I understand that. And listen, I didn't play. You and I traveled together with the team when you were in net and the starter for the team. I can only give so much context. Bellsy tried to explain it as well, but you do get worn out. There's a mental fatigue that comes with it. And that's just as a media person. You played, you know what it's like. I know that they're on the PJ. I know that they great hotels, but like, how can you articulate it to a fan of the team and say, okay, it is hard to have that extra bit of juice in the tank to try to dig yourself out of the 3-goal deficit like that? Yeah,
I think that the relevant piece for this game specifically is the emotional energy and the physical exertion they've had to go through to win a 1-0 game against LA, to have comebacks against both Mini and Colorado, and to have to try to do it again today. That's where you're running out of gas, right? You obviously have the emotional roller coaster of being down, fighting your way, blah blah blah, but that is a different toll than Edmonton going up 3-rip and kind of just icing it away, right?
Yeah.
You come out of that game, obviously, it's not the biggest difference, but when you add all of those things up, now it becomes something that is impactful. The counterpoint to that is Edmonton did that to themselves for the past 4 or 5 games. So
it's okay to rip on them for saying you guys are shooting yourselves in the foot, right?
Yeah, it's not ripping on them because it'd be ripping on them if they, were on a 4-game losing streak and continuing to do that, right? Okay. They've done more than admirable job, done a fantastic job even in showing that grit, that stick-to-itiveness to get back in those games, and to get points and to get, solid wins out of them. He just didn't have it tonight, in part because they've sort of done that a bunch, in a row. And that's where that fatigue, I think, is starting to come up a little bit, right?
Ben Scrivens with us right now. We're at the Oilers Alumni Bonspiel. It's still going strong. Absolutely fantastic event. At the end, Scrivy, I'm going to ask you one or two more, but we'll get your thoughts on this because it is a great thing that has been happening for a couple of years. You're a big part of it, which is fantastic. Okay, I have to ask you, and I always bug Joaquin about this because he's our resident goalie at Edmonton Sports Talk, and he does a great job articulating the goaltending from the Oilers this year. There are some that are still ripping on Stu Skinner and Cal Pickard, but I think the last couple of weeks have really quieted that noise.
Yeah.
As a fellow member of the Goaltenders Association, faction, whatever you want to call it, what would you say about what Stuart Skinner is doing in his third full NHL season? And then he's got a guy that's been around a long time in pro hockey, and Cal Pickard, helping him out.
And I've said this in the past, past couple of years, certainly as Stu was starting to cut his teeth and really establish himself as a starter. But his prototype is Hellebuck, right? If he has the same mechanics, same height, honestly, it looks very similar in the way that he plays. And so that's, to me, should be read as a huge compliment. He has a huge upside. He has a huge ceiling. Yeah. And it took Hellebuck a long time to get to where he is, where he's a perennial Vezina candidate. He's a Hart Trophy candidate this year. He means so much to that team. And I think Stu has that potential to get there. He's got a great partner right now in picks. Obviously Pickard was rewarded after, the shuffling of the position last year.
That's very diplomatic of you.
I mean, I've been there. I've been waived, right? I've been waived by this team. It's part of. I mean, you see it happen to Tristan Jarry. It is just part of it, right? You need to compete. You need to give the team a chance, and you need to win games. And that is what these guys do right now.
Yep.
For everybody who's ripping on them, I wonder. I mean, there's obviously a generational divide, but did they have the same criticisms of Cujo, of Grant Fuhr, the guys who they made the big save when they needed to. And you saw that with picks in Minnesota. You saw it plenty of times in the 1-0 game against LA.
Yep.
Even tonight in Colorado, you have enough examples of these guys just giving the team a chance. And when you give this Edmonton Oilers team a chance, they're gonna create, right?
Yeah.
The odds are they're gonna create. There's sometimes it doesn't happen, but
most times they do pull it off.
Yeah, you can almost bank on 3 goals from this team, and they're getting much more depth scoring and offensive support from that bottom end of the lineup, which takes some pressure off those top guys. But the top guys are still performing, so I like the team as a whole. They obviously had a tough start again, but if you look at their pace, their point collection pace from that tough start on, I mean they're light years ahead of everybody else in their division. I would even say everybody else in the league, right?
Yep.
So
third place in the league.
Yeah,
literally after tonight's loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think you tip your cap to the 2 goalies. I mean, is it always pretty? No, but doesn't really matter, right? If they had won tonight's game with a scrum at the end and the score late and blah blah blah, we're not overanalyzing Colorado too much. We're not overanalyzing Minnesota too much because the result is there, right? I'm sure they're doing that in the room and addressing the starts and stuff like that. But I think the biggest compliment that you can give this goaltending tandem is that they give the team a chance to win almost every night.
Okay, allow me to ask this one. This is the last semi-tough one. How much is
those the tough ones?
Yeah, but you handle it fine. You've always been like that, and you and I have had a good rapport for years and years and years. For those out there that when things are not going well and maybe a goal or two goes in that isn't particularly great, and it happens, how much can you always point back to the goalie coach? Because Joaquin is interesting. He didn't always have a goalie coach. Then goalie coaches became a thing in pro hockey. You had goalie coaches. You had goalie coaches in the organization. And some people go, it's the goalie coach's fault. And I'm not going to bring up any names, but just your take on that.
I mean, I'll be open about my bias. I love Dustin Schwartz. I worked with him when I was in midget before going into college. I credit him and, head trajectory stuff and the work that I did with him and both Lyle Mast as being really pivotal in my development and allowing me to earn my way up into the NHL and to have a career that I'm proud of.
Yep.
There's always, we don't know the conversations that are going on between Schwartzy, between Pix, between Stu, even between Jack in previous years or Koskinen or Mike Smith. But like these guys, I think the truest thing about the NHL and coaching, specifically in the goaltending position, is like, you're really not going to change a guy too much, right? The guy either made it or he didn't, based off of his body of work before he came to you, right? Okay. Largely speaking, obviously there's you can come up with examples of somebody who worked with said goalie coach in the minors or, in junior or college or whatever. And so now there's a little more,
teeth and leverage.
Kneading of the dough as it turned into this goalie who is now at the NHL level. But what you want is continuity from the top to the bottom within an NHL organization, so that you're getting the same message in the East Coast as you're getting in the AHL as you're getting in the NHL, because you don't want one goalie coach to be saying this and the other goalie coach to be saying that, and now the goalie gets into, depending on which team he's playing on, what level he's at, he's got to kind of adjust to what the goalie coach wants to see. So I do think there's continuity within the Oilers organization, and
so where you're putting your glove isn't what Schwartzy or Freddie Shabbat is telling you one day, and then a guy's gone the next day, and this other guy wants you to move your glove here. It's not like that, is it?
There's that stuff that happens, but a good goalie coach is going to work with a guy. So it's not going to be like you have to do this and change it. That does happen sometimes, but it's mostly what's the trend? Are we getting torched on our glove over and over and over again? Well, let's try doing it this way. What feels comfortable? What's repeatable? What can we impart into your game that is going to become second nature? Because if you're in a game, right, and you're thinking midway through a shot release about what I got to do, you're done anyway, right? Yeah. So, I think for that whole context is Schwartzy works with the guys as they are, right? I think there's been enough guys that have had good success here in Edmonton. The team's had good success. Would it be amazing to have a Vezina winner?
Hasn't happened since Grant Fuhr.
Yeah, and how many Vasilevskiy? I think we've talked about this before. How many Vezina top tier NHL goalies have won Stanley Cups? And Price didn't win one, Lundqvist didn't win one. There are examples of it.
Yep.
But Vasilevskiy looks pretty human of late, right? Sure. They've lost a lot of that core team orientation.
To Bobrovsky till last year to win it.
Yeah, but he had a couple of really tough years, right? Now they built a team around it. My perspective is always a team wins, right? And your goalie needs to make the saves that they're supposed to make, right? And maybe a big one here or there, but I'm thinking back to the 1-0 game against LA, right? The pass Kopitar to, was it Kempe, right? Unbelievable, massive save. And that ends up being the difference in the game. There's a 0-0 tie at that point. Ends up being a shutout. You need a couple of those. But if you're a team that's demanding that night in and night out,
it's a lot.
You're not defensively sound enough to earn wins, right?
Yep.
Your goalie's got to play his position, take direct shots, do what he can to be set on a shot, set on a release so that it's as easy on him as possible, and then have the ability to move and read and react off of plays and make a couple of those big saves when you need them. But if you're giving up, backdoor taps all the time, it doesn't matter who you have in that, I think.
No, that's fair. I knew you'd have a great response to that. Okay. The Oilers Alumni Bonspiel 3rd annual with the horse race was going on. You're always involved. I love it. What can you say about this event and everything it stands for?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm super fortunate. The Edmonton Oilers Alumni Association does a fantastic job of keeping us engaged, keeping us in the community, trying to be another branch to fans, to the youth. I run the Colby's Kids program. Yep. One of the ambassadors for Every Kid Deserves a Shot, which is the new Edmonton Oilers Community Foundation initiative. So I try to stay involved as much as I can, and this is an event that is part and parcel of all that, right? We're here, we're having a good time, we're engaging. I curl. I'm on a curling team.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love doing it. I suck at it, but like it's fun and yeah, it's a really enjoyable event. It's one of the I would prefer doing this than golf tournaments. I'll still do golf tournaments. I love golf tournaments, but like for sure I would prefer to do this. It's such a great time, and it's such a departure from what we normally assume are going to be hockey events. So I always enjoy it and appreciate your support as always. Of course. And yeah, good to see it. You won it last year, but
not this year.
Not this year. Don't worry. I don't know that my teams have ever won like a game. We won one game this year, but that might have been my first.
That's great.
It's tough. It's frustrating.
Hey, you are a great ambassador as part of the Oilers alumni, and it is good tapping into your knowledge and experience, and I always appreciate it. Scrivy, thank you for it. Appreciate it, brother. Wait, let me make that.
What do you want? You want the cabbage?
No, just thanks. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah. I know your team's calling you, and they probably want to enjoy it.
I got to go collect my winnings.
Okay, go get your winnings. Thank you, Ben. Always a pleasure, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom.
There you go. Ben Scrivens, former Oilers goaltender, doing great stuff with the NHLPA as well as the Oilers Alumni Association. Absolutely fantastic. Nanso, what did you think of that breakdown from Scrivy? I know we made that handshake awkward on purpose, but it is what it is. What did you think of that?
I loved it. I mean, coming right from a guy who played in the league, played here,
yep.
Had some great games in the NHL. I just loved it saying like, if your goalie has to make 5 enormous saves every game, then it says more about your team than it does the goaltending, right? So, and what he said was right. Like the Skinner and Pickard, and I think Joaquin said this on Friday, as long as they're winning and they give you a chance to win every game, you're fine. Sure. It's going to be that one odd game where you get blown out and it's just a bad night overall. Sure. But Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner, what they do, they give you wins and they give you a chance every night. Like tonight, down 3-0, they didn't give up the fourth. They were right there, 1-goal game, ran out of juice there at the end. But yeah, no, that was great. Great stuff.
I knew he'd be great. Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. Then we got to the Schwartzy stuff because I know some people just they can't let it go, I guess. But Ben has a great perspective on it. All right, let's get to the Damon Bunting Real Estate Player of the Game. Damon Bunting has been a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. All right, Hernan, take it away. Who is our player of the game?
Yeah, this guy's becoming almost must-watch every night. He's a fantastic defenseman. Quinn Hughes, 2 goals on the night, 24:57 time on ice. He had 5 shots on net. He had 1 block, 1 hit, but he's just a pleasure to watch. He's, for his size, the way he moves around, he's just great. He defends well. He's great offensively. So for tonight, we got to go to the other team, and Quinn Hughes gets the Damon Bunting, the agency player of the game.
The agency. All right. That is going to wind things down for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Man, it has been a long day. It's been a fun day. We appreciate you for watching and listening. Hope you're staying warm out there. Be safe if you're on the roads. The Oilers fall 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. Tough way to end the road trip. They'll look to bounce back against the Washington Capitals on Tuesday. Big thank you to Shawn, Belle. Big thank you to Jess, Gavin, Angela, Bree, as well as Aaron with the OEG crew on the Oilers alumni side. Patty Garland as well. Absolutely tremendous to be here. Big thank you to Ben Scrivens for stopping by. For Hernan Salas, Matt Kassian, and myself. Have yourselves a great night. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out. We will see you on Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody.